Hello, everybody. I'm going to make a coil pot this next week. So I want to go over some suggestions about how to make a coil pot. I'm starting with just a ball of clay that I am kind of squeezing or patting in my hands like I would to make a hamburger patty. You can roll out a slab if you want, but don't coil up a spiral. You want to have a solid piece of clay so that you don't get any cracks in the bottom. I could cut this into a circle. I could trace around something else that's already a circle. We'll leave that over there for you guys to look at. But it doesn't have to be a circle. It could be any shape that I want it to be because it's a slab of clay. I don't have to make it a circle just because that's what other people have done before me. So why don't I make this like a kidney bean shape? Then I could kind of press it down on the edges, add a little bit of water, and now I'm going to build by stacking coils one on top of the next. Okay? Each time I do that, I'm going to put down a little water, especially on this first coil. I'm going to score it up a little bit on this first coil as well, so that I'm sure I'm getting that clay nice and soft, which will mean that my coil will stick to it really well. When I start making a coil, I start with it in my hands. I'm going to squeeze it. When I squeeze it and I start getting a coil going, I'm going to transfer it to the table. And then I'm going to use my fingertips, not my palms. I've got a big ridge of meaty skin right here and down here and a soft spot in the middle. So it's going to make a rough coil. So I use my fingertips and I don't really roll. I just kind of wiggle. I wiggle this way and I wiggle that way and I kind of work my way out from the center. And if it feels like it's flattening out, I set it up on the edge that is flattening out. And if it comes apart, that's okay because it's clay. And then I keep working until I get a coil that feels pretty consistent. And for your coil pot, I want it to be around half-inch thick. These are a little bit smaller than a half-inch thick. If you start to get any bigger than that, it's going to look kind of awkward. So now that I've rolled my coil, I'm going to put a little more water on there, and I'm going to start stacking this coil around the edge. I'm pressing down, a little bit of pressure to make sure that it sticks. When I get to a place where the coil starts overlapping itself, I can cut through both coils and I can take off the top piece and then I can take off the bottom piece, score that up, little bit of water, score this up, little bit of water, and then I've got one consistent layer. Now I'm going to repeat the process. So water, and I probably don't have to score every layer. Depends on how soft or dry your clay is. If your clay is pretty dry, you definitely want to do it. If your clay is softer, you might be able to get away with a little less water and pressure. But to be on the safe side, with this clay being a little bit drier, I'm going to continue to add water and score each time. If I want it to go out, my form to go out like this, then I'm going to set the coil slightly on the outside of the coil before it, which will make it get a little bit wider. If I want those coils to show, then I'm going to worry about adding the water and scoring a lot more. If I'm going to smooth it out and not show my coils, I might not have to worry about the water or the scoring quite so much. But you can see here in a very short period of time, I'm starting to get a form going. This time I'm going to start on that side and work my way backwards. Overlap there, cut through both, add a little water, score, So without taking up too much of your time, I could start thinking about being creative with my coiling. Maybe instead of this next row laying down, maybe this next row, don't forget to score. I stand up my coils and build that way. So I don't have to do the same thing all the time. I can have some fun with it and get some height that way. After you go up about 5 or 6 rows of coils, you might start adding too much weight, and your piece might want to like collapse back down towards the table, in which case that would be a good time to stop. Maybe get the hair dryer, hair dry the bottom. Maybe soften up the top with a little bit more water. And that would also be a good time to put a bag over it. You can let a little air come in on the bottom, which will let this dry out a little bit, but keep it sealed up on the top so that the bag is actually touching the top of the clay. And then come back in a couple of hours and take the bag off and resume work. So we want about 8 inches tall with at least 16 coils. And that means that each coil would be about a half inch like this. Stack outside to make it go out, stack inside to make it go in. Have some fun with it. Remember, it's not going to be a perfect form because it's your first coil pot. And I'll see you in a week. Okay, bye.